Hi everybody, it's John back with another model in box review. We're looking at an iconic aircraft today. This is of course the Grumman F-14 Tomcat, but unfortunately it's not an iconic model. This is the second video in my series, a new series of videos called Models to Avoid Like the Plague. And when you see this kit you'll know exactly what I mean, although the kit isn't as bad as what the box artwork makes it out to look like. There's a couple of F-14 Tomcats here. These are in high-vis US naval colours, probably late 1970s I would have thought, just before the aircraft turned into the low-vis marking god-awful grey colour scheme that the aircraft were covered in toward the latter part of their careers. But the image here is quite nice. I quite like this image. Not sure which aircraft carrier these aircraft are based on. I'm sure someone in the comments will probably put that in on the comments underneath. Anyway, have a look at the boxing history. Today we're looking at the Silver Corn model of the Grumman F-14 Tomcat, and the box, if you're wondering what on earth is Silver Corn, well, the box looks like this. They're often called hobby model kits, but they are in fact a company called Silver Corn. They're based in China, and the models themselves, all the box artwork appears to look quite terrible like this. I mean, yeah, that does look like an F-14, but it doesn't look like a very good F-14, does it? But the company itself doesn't sort of investige an awful lot of, it doesn't instill a lot of interest in the kit from its marketing, and the box artwork on the front is absolutely dreadful. There is one thing about these models that you have to understand, is that there are no decals or stickers of any type whatsoever, even though they're depicted on the box art, where there are none whatsoever. And the colours and shapes may vary, and that is of course true, because you would hope it would vary from the shape of what they're portraying on the front cover, and gladly they do. The thing about Silver Corn kits is, yes, the box artwork is dreadful, and yes, they probably won't sell many kits from their box artwork, but what you get inside the box isn't actually as bad as what the artwork would make out. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute when we go through the sprues. This kit was released in 2000, by the way. This is the only box artwork that's available. It's the only box that actually was released. This kit was released in. And this is obviously the kit that I've got a sample of here. We'll leave you with a nice image. This is actually quite a poignant image, because this is one of the F-14's later liveries. They're still in reasonably high-vis stars and bars, but the aircraft is definitely in low-vis camo pattern, with that two-tone grey and sea grey upper surfaces, and the slightly lighter medium to light sea grey underside. And the aircraft really did blend in very well with its environment that it flew in, and it did look the part, it did look very warlike. And the F-14 was a very, very good combat aircraft. Of course, they've been retired from service now. We'll just pan the camera around and show you this god-awful kit. One of the reasons why I wanted to do one of these kits is to show you exactly what you get in the box, because it's quite interesting. Just pull that down a little tiny bit, that should be okay, shouldn't it? There we go. This is the box artwork. That's my hand in front of the box. It's about hand shaped, it's quite large. Yep, not very good, is it? It's exactly the same on the back. Made in China, of course, here, and it's not for anyone under 3 years old. Recyclable, yeah. It states here on this. I think this is the back cover, and that's the front cover. But it states here: set contains one unassembled model kit and easy to follow instructions. Paint and glue required to complete this model. Yeah, that's pretty much the same with everything. They're actually gearing these kits to people ages 8 and above. So that's the box. Not a lot to it, is there? The parts. I haven't actually opened the parts yet, but I'm gonna quickly open them for you now. We'll get the parts out of the bag. We'll have a look at those in a minute. those in a minute. I just want to get that part out separate so that I can show that to you in a minute as well. There we go. So that's all the plastic out. There we go. Right, the instruction leaflet. The instruction leaflet is an A4 sheet of paper, and it's quite laughable when they say it's a very easy to follow instruction leaflet. On the back it's just a blank piece of paper, and on the front you've got 9 steps of assembly in this kit. And at the top of the instruction leaflet you just got marked Tomcat and a nice broad line at the top, and then you have a parts plan. Great fan of parts plans, but I don't think you're going to need it for this kit. There aren't really enough parts to worry about. But all the parts are ID'd clearly and everything, you know, it's not really an issue. It's similar to most parts plans that you get on the instruction leaflets. And then you've got these really easy to follow instructions. Yeah. It is suggested, I would suggest that you do take very careful note of every stage of this kit, because the kit is built in sequence, and they've also got the sub-assemblies in sequence instilled in the diagram. In section 1 there, you can see it there. You've got to put parts 6 and 4 into 5, and that forms a sub-assembly which is pictured below it, that fits into the lower half of the fuselage, and then you put the upper half of the fuselage over the top. So it is pretty easy, but I would be very careful about how you assemble these kits, and take very close attention to what they're actually pictorially imaging here, because it's very important to do that. Section 2, this is another confusing situation where you've got part 8 and part 8. No, sorry, part 6 and part 8, and then you've got an image of part 6 and part 8 copied below it of the wing in place, and then you fit, this is what's interesting, and then you fit part 1 over the top of the wings. But I thought they'd already done that in part 1. No, they haven't, you see, because the arrows aren't telling you to place it and glue it into position. It's just telling you that you can just test fit it to make sure everything's correct. You don't glue anything on this kit unless there are arrows telling you to glue it into position. So section 2, you've got the upper fuselage halves that go over the top of the wings. The wings do actually work, they do swing in this kit. And then you've got part 3 and 7 there, which is the nose cone, quite easy to follow. The airframe's all assembled there. Note the nose cone doesn't go into position until you get part 3. They're obviously suggesting that in part 2 you put it together and set it aside to dry. Section 3, you're putting some of the under stores pylons into place, and section 4 you're actually putting them onto the aircraft. 2 Phoenix missiles there in section 4. Section 5 you've got the Sparrows, and section 6 you've got more. They look like AMRAAMs actually. Actually, are they AMRAAMs? They might be AMRAAMs actually, thinking about it. And section 6 you also place part A, which is the cockpit canopy, into place. And I would put all that into place. I would put the canopy into place once the kit's been painted. And then we come to an issue that I have with this kit. In section 7 you're putting the undercarriage together. It is basically very few parts. There are only 4 parts to all of the undercarriage. And you've noticed that there's no doors on the instructions. That's because there's no doors on the model at all. And we'll get to that in a minute, because I think you would need to do something with this kit. And then it wouldn't be that bad a model at all. In section 8 and 9 you're just basically testing that the wings work forward and slide them back. And yeah, not a lot happening there. And there's the company's logo at the bottom, Silver Corn. Easy. Instructions are quite easy to follow as long as you take your time to actually see exactly what they want you to do. Now then, the canopy. For anyone who's interested in what scale this model is, it's actually 1/103rd scale, which is a bit unusual, isn't it? And here's the canopy. Now the canopy, at first glance, the canopy doesn't look that clear. And I don't think it is that clear. It's not crystal clear as, say, what you would get with a Revell kit or an Airfix kit, but it's not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. And it does have a sort of a look of an F-14 canopy about it. So yeah, I think that'll paint up all right. I don't think that'll be an issue. If you can ever have an issue with this kit. The kit comes with a stand, 2-part stand. You've got the base there and this part here that just slips. I think it slips in like that actually, and then you glue that into position, and that's your stand. And I think I'll be using this on this model because what you're about to see is frightening. We'll deal with this sprue first. They aren't AMRAAMs, they're actually Sparrow missiles. You've got 2 Phoenix and 5 Sparrow missiles. That's an unusual number, isn't it? 2 Phoenix missiles here and 5 Sparrows. You'd think there would be 6, wouldn't you? And then you've got some avionics pods underneath here. Now, the other thing that I've noticed is you've actually got recessed panel lines on these wings, which is quite nice. The tail planes, they look pretty good shape actually, they're not too bad. The tail fins, there is actually a slight curve to the top of the fin, the actual tip of the fin. There's a very, very slight curve to it. It's not a jet razor's edge like that. I'm looking at the image of the Tomcat I've got in front of me, and it is very slight, but it is very apparent. And I don't think this is that faithful. It could have been slightly better cast, but designed. But the actual parts themselves, you got to remember this kit is cheap as chips. And we'll get to the costings on them in a minute, but the undercarriage is pretty, I mean, that's sort of 170, well, you would have that in a 1/72nd scale kit, and this is 1/103rd. They should be finer than that. They should be a lot thinner. The detail on the wheels isn't bad though, is it? Let's be honest, it's not that bad. Nose wheel there, that's not too bad either. Yeah, not bad. And the actual panel lines on the parts for the airframe, they're not too bad either. They're not too bad. But the kit itself, I'm being honest with you, is pretty dire. And the reason why I wanted to do an inbox review on this will become apparent when I do the conclusions. The fuselage halves, that's the upper fuselage half. Panel lines on that. You've got the strakes already put into place. On some of the models that you buy of Tomcats, you have to put those in as separate parts. And the air intakes are already built in. And then on the underside, you've got the Phoenix missile launch rail, which I think should be 2 parts on both sides, but never mind. And then you've also got the major problem that I have with this kit. There's no arrestor hook on the back, by the way. I would probably have to put one in because it's big enough to require one. There should be a Stinger arrestor hook at the back here, and there definitely isn't one in the kit. But the major issue I have with this model are these. These are the location pins for the undercarriage legs. And I'm pretty sure that the undercarriage struts actually come out of this section and not out of the wing glove. Because in the wing glove, originally with the Tomcat, you had what were called extending vanes that came out of these wing gloves when the wings were folded. And very quickly in the aircraft service career, it was realised that the Tomcat didn't need them. So they were, if you like, fixed into the fixed closed position. And later the F-14A Plus and B, when that aircraft came out with the upgraded engines, these vanes were actually omitted, and the part was just, that the actual section here was filled over. But these undercarriage location holes are absolutely diabolical. I mean, look at them. I'm going to need to get rid of those somehow and probably fill them in. And I'm thinking about just having this kit mounted on its stand with undercarriage up. I think it'll look better like that. The actual cockpit interior isn't too bad for the scale it is. I mean, they're quite dainty little seats there, aren't they? No pilots though, unfortunately. Sorry, Bill, but there's no pilots in this kit. But you can't have everything, I suppose. And the actual upper detail on the kit's cockpit section there isn't too bad either. So I think, if you look at this kit in terms of its box artwork, it looks terrible. But if you actually look at the sprues themselves, and I've got a couple of these models to review, if you actually look at the sprues themselves, they're not that bad. They don't look that terrible, but they have got issues, and they're not as accurate, and they're not as good rendered. They're not as well rendered as I think they could have been. But when you see how much you can buy these kits for on some of these social media sites, for sales sites on eBay and Amazon and whatnot, you can pick these kits up dirt cheap, as I did. You know, I didn't pay an awful lot of money for any of these, which is just as well, isn't it? Pop this back in the box, and I'll take the instruction leaflet, put that back in the box as well, because I don't want to get that lost. God, I'll never be able to build the kit if I haven't got that, would I? And then we'll leave the image there of the aircraft in front of you so you can have a look at something whilst doing the gumph. Now then, we'll just read this off so that I can close this video down. The kit we're actually doing a review on today is the Silver Corn Grumman F14 Tomcat. The kit's release date was 2000, and the model is moulded in 1/103rd scale. There are no markings or versions provided with this kit whatsoever, and the kit's dimensions are about 6.75 inches long by 8 inches span when the wings are fully forwards unswept, and the kit should stand about 3 inches high on its undercarriage. There are 32 parts on 2 grey plastic sprues and 2 grey plastic parts loose, and a clear Canopy plastic part, totaling 35 parts in total. Now the options and costs, because of the vastness of the different companies and different variants available with the Tomcat, I've really only covered the options and costs up to about 1/100th scale from the smaller scales, and there are quite a few and interesting smaller scales available. In 1/2400th scale, there's a company called GHQ Models who built an F14 Tomcat from a white metal set comprising 10 Tomcats, 10 Hornets, 10 Intruders, 10 Vikings, 9 Hawkeyes and 4 Seeking helicopters. Now I've never seen a price available for these, but I can't see them being a huge amount of money. Probably around about £20 I would have thought, but I have seen photographs of these, if you can call them models. They're actually white metal effigies of aircraft, but they're actually quite detailed and they're quite carefully rendered. They do look like the subjects that they're supposed to look like, uncannily quite accurate too. And I think they're just designed to be cut off the sprue, because white metal cuts quite easily, doesn't it? But that's GHQ Models. There's a company called Sukuda Hobby, and they build an F14 in 1/1450th scale, and that kit comprises a 4 kit pack of a Tomcat, a Prowler, a Hornet and a Corsair 2. There are 2 releases marked 1/1000th and 1/700th scale, but Scalemates have actually put these kits as 1450th scale, which is quite interesting. No pricings available on those either. In 1/350th scale, Tamiya do an F14 in a set comprising 2 Tomcats, 2 Vikings, 2 Intruders, 2 Hornets and 2 Corsair 2s. Again, no pricing available on that. Trumpeter also do a 1/350th scale F14B and an F14D Tomcat in a set comprising 6 aircraft. Now I think the F14B and the F14D come in 2 different types of boxes with 6 planes in each box, but I've got no pricing on those either. Yankee Model Works do an F14A Tomcat in that scale as well. Again, no pricings for those. In 1/300th scale, Nichimo do an F14A Tomcat in a set comprising a Tomcat and a Corsair 2. Again, I've got no pricings available for those. And in 1/285th scale, CNC Models do an F14 Tomcat, but again, I've got no pricings on that either. In 1/176th scale, Hasegawa build an F14A Tomcat. Sorry, I've got no pricings on those. And then you get down to the 1/144th scale, which is probably the scale that you can get this kit in most easily. Now, the standalone kits are covered by Academy, who do an F14A Tomcat for about £4 to £9, Aoshima build an F-14A Tomcat. They've got no pricing available on that, but it's usually about £5, I would have thought. Most of their kits that are in that scale are about £5 to £6. CC Lee build an F-14 Tomcat for about £11, and Crown build an F-14A Tomcat for about £6 to £10. Doyusha build an F-14 Tomcat, got no pricings on that. And Dragon build an F-14A and D Tomcat with different sets comprising an Intruder, a Super Hornet, an Su-22 fitter, a MiG-23 flogger and a launch set. The launch set is basically an F-14 on a launch pad on top of the aircraft carrier with a couple of little vehicles and a couple of figures. And those kits feature for about £10 to £25. F-Toys build an F-14A Tomcat, no pricings on that. And Hobbycraft build an F-14 Tomcat in a set comprising a Hornet as well for about £2 to £10. KA Models, they build an F-14A Tomcat in a set comprising 5 Tomcats and 3 F-5N Tiger IIs, again no pricings on those. And LS build an F-14A Tomcat for about £4 to £6. Otaki build an F-14A Tomcat for, again no pricing on that. And Revell build an F-14D Tomcat for about £2 to £14. The Trumpeter offering of the F-14A, B and D Tomcats retail for between £10 and £23. Now, some of these models have been reboxed by other companies. I've got some pricing on some of them, but not all of them. Ace Hobby Models do an F-14 Tomcat, which is a reboxed Hobbycraft kit. No pricings on that. AMT Ertel do an F-14 Tomcat, which is a reboxed Otaki kit. No pricing on that. Ace Corporation do an F-14A, B and D Tomcat, which is a reboxed Revell kit. No pricings on that. RI do an F-14A Tomcat, which is a reboxed Otaki kit. No pricings on that. And Entex reboxed the Otaki kit by Entex Industries as an F-14 Tomcat. No pricings on that either. Hasegawa do an F-14A Tomcat with a Mickey Skymon figure, which is a Dragon kit reboxed. That model, again, I've got no pricings on that either. Hella build an F-14 Tomcat, which is a CC Lee kit for about £11 to £14. And Hobbycraft do an F-14 Tomcat, which is a CC Lee kit. Again, no pricings on that. Italieri do an F-14A Tomcat, which is the Dragon kit. No pricings on that. And Lodella do an F-14 Tomcat, which is the old Crown kit. No pricings available on that. Micro Ace do an F-14A Tomcat, which is the reboxed LS kit. No pricings available on that. And Mini Hobbies Models do an F-14A Tomcat, which is the Trumpeter model. Reboxed for £10. And Minicraft Hobby Kits do an F-14A Tomcat, which is a reboxed Crown kit for about £1 to £22. Revell also build an F-14A, which is a reboxed Crown kit for £2 to £18. And Revell also build the Otaki kit, which is reboxed for £5. Shanghai Dragon do an F-14A Tomcat, which is the reboxed Dragon kit. Again, I've got no pricings available on that either. In 1/103rd scale, you've got the Silver Corn offering, which is often called hobby model kits of an F-14 Tomcat. These kits retail for anything from £1.50 to £4. And in 1/100th scale, Academy do an F-14A Tomcat for about £20. Manon do an F-14A Tomcat for about the same price, about £18 to £20. Revell do an F-14D Tomcat for £8 to £20. And Takara Models do an F-14A Tomcat, again no pricings for that. And I've got no pricings for the Testers offering in 1/100th scale either of an F-14 Tomcat. Now, Manon Models has been, the Manon Models F-14 kit has been reboxed by 5 different companies, and I've got no pricings except for the Mania model. But AFV Club did an F-14A reboxed Manon kit. Entex Industries did an F-14 reboxed Manon kit. The Mania F-14A Tomcat reboxed Manon kit retails for about £8.50. The Roscoff F-14 Tomcat is a reboxed Manon kit, and the Sancho F-14A Tomcat is another reboxed Manon kit. And Sunny also did an F-14A Tomcat, which is a reboxed Manon kit. I've got no pricings on any of them except for the Mania kit. Conclusions. Right. Another model in my Models to Avoid Like the Plague series, but this kit could be a useful tool for testing things on. It's not that bad in terms of accuracy, but the overall detail is pretty crude and bulky. There are no decals offered in any of these models sold by Silvercorn, so be prepared for this. And being very cheap, they would make a good option for children, as they look pretty fun and easy and quick to assemble. Now, I am going to give this kit a good go and will probably build it with wheels up, cleaning off the location holes under the fuselage and mounting it on its stand. Kits worthy of note are the Revel, Dragon and Trumpeter offerings in 1/144 scale, and all of the Manon-based 1/100 scale Tomcats have quite high praise from the pro builders. I would avoid the crown-based kits in all cases in 1/144 scale, and of course the Silvercorn kit featured in this review. This model review is now closed. I hope this video has been of some use. If you've got any questions or queries or any ideas as to what you can do with this god-awful model, it would be quite interesting to see in the comments. And as usual, I hope all your modelling projects go nice and smooth and you're having fun. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye for now.